Hi, welcome to the Faith Inspiring channel. Today we are doing the topic, do we always have to know who is working against us or who our enemies are or where? Or if anyone questions, even if I pray daily, why did God not make known to us who was working against us? So in this video, I'm discussing Bible verses on how God protects us from all troubles, whether we know our enemies or not, and why God may not make it clear to us who is against us. It's actually God's protection towards us. If we know them at the wrong time or who was against us, we may react in a way that could prevent our own growth. But when God reveals who was against us, it will be in His time. This is illustrated by some of the stories in this video I'm going to talk about. These stories shows that through our battles, God wants to reveal His power and He wants to take the glory out of it. And God does not want us to react against our enemies or fight against them. And also, when God reveals those enemies, He has already equipped us, even though we don't realize it. So if anyone just want the direct answer to the questions, do we have to know our enemies? The answer is no. We do not always need to know who was against us. But to understand how God protects us and why God does that, stay with me as we go through these stories and the Bible verse discussion. So let's read the Bible verse. Psalm 34:17. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. Next verse, 1 Peter 4:12. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. About the first verse, when the righteous cry for help, Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. So this is a psalm written by David. So you know the situation. David already beat the giant Goliath, but Saul got jealous at David. So David is fleeing away from Saul. If he could beat Goliath giant, he could have beaten King Saul too. But he's trusting on God and he's confident that many are afflictions. He experienced real danger, threats and enemies, maybe not listed all of them. But he trusted in God. God will deliver us from all their troubles. So in this context, the enemy is visible, Saul, but not always the enemies are visible. So in that situations, we can trust that Lord will deliver out of all troubles. Next verse, 1 Peter 4:12. Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. So the context of this verse is that Apostle Peter, one of Jesus' disciples, were talking to the early Christians who scattered across Asia, and they were facing persecutions and trials for their faith. So they were experiencing opposition and suffering because of their faith in Christ. So Peter wanted them to understand that these trials were normal for followers of Jesus, nothing unusual, and also reminding believers not be surprised or discouraged when they face difficult or fiery trials, because trials are part of Jesus' plan to refine you, strengthen you, and to guide you. And there are unexpected challenges from our hidden enemies that we don't see, but they don't be surprised by these fiery trials, because these trials are opportunities for believers to grow or become spiritually mature and experiencing Jesus' support and strength in those difficult times. Now we have talked about Bible stories, David's story, how David says the righteous cry for help, Lord hears, and also many are afflictions of righteous, and the Lord delivers from all of them. And then Paul is encouraging Christians that don't think that any suffering is unusual. So let us examine some real life stories. This story that I'm going to talk about, I recently came to know the story of this girl. So, to understand the story of the girl, just like I explained the education system in Kerala in the last video, I have to explain the cultural system in Kerala. So Kerala's population is majority Hindus and Christians. There is no discrimination in Kerala, but people are society is very strict about intermingling between castes in marriages, especially even if they are like Hindus has a lot of caste. So even if they are Hindus, they don't mingle between caste. So marriages has to be between the same caste inside the Hindus. So if you mix between caste people, the society may isolate you because their kids may follow this trend, so they would not help those things. So but even though this has changed now, those who are listening to me may think that, oh, why we have to listen to the cultural system or why we need to know about it. So the villain of the story is bullying the girl because of his caste insecurity or his family's professional insecurity. So in your life, you may have similar opposition or bullying, or it could be it may not be always from insecurity, but it could be competition or jealousy from the people surrounding you. It could be colleagues or friends or people that you know or others in position of influence. So this navigating through this story, you would understand that the girl didn't know about who was behind it, and or who was bullying her, or who was creating troubles in every stages of life. But not knowing her enemies actually helped her focused on her goals and not get distracted. To understand the caste system in Kerala, I will explain the education reservation system for different caste. For example, in the 10 to 12 grades, we call it as college, or in professional degrees, or in government jobs, 40 to 50% goes to reservation. So these reservation seats are meant to help progress those caste who are in lower economic status to come to the forefront. So Hindus have classification of caste. Brahmins, the 1% of population, they are the upper caste, they don't get no reservation. Nayars, then the next group, have also no reservation. Then comes OBC or other backward caste or Irava, they get reservation. And then SCA or ST, scheduled caste and tribes, they get reservation too in all sectors. Christians rarely has any reservation. Maybe one group, Latin Catholics, have like some reservation. Muslims also, I don't think much. It may be mostly income based. I think now the reservation is all reduced. Now Hindus have other caste-based professions, like I don't know which group they all belong to. It must be OBC or SCST. Those who do mason work, carpentry, or tree climbing, these all they get reservation too in all the sectors that I listed. So the practice in olden days was there. Kids would choose the same profession, though now with the inflation and the reservation and also the scam or something, I'm hearing news that the state is full of graduates, not much workers for agriculture or other sectors. Next to the main story, the girl in this story did not know a person in her town 10 years older than her who was very obsessed with her. This guy's obsession turned into jealousy, and he spent his whole life behind her as a bully. And this guy family belonged to tree climbing as a profession, and he had no father, so he had to help them along with his studies. But because of reservation and because he was very smart, he got into a medical seat and became a physician. Instead of seeing his freedom and he was lucky and he got help, but he compares to this girl and see that she was liked by all and had responsible parents and loving parents, and she had a luxury life without hardships. Even though this physician became successful, he was always insecure about his caste, and he was not happy. He could not marry this girl. Not only about he was generally not a happy person. So in Kerala, even if you like somebody, if their caste is wrong, you cannot marry her. So that instead of focusing on his goals, and he considered this girl as his enemy, and he used all his political influence and his welfare system money to make the people around her rich and wealthy above her parents and her family, and also tracking her all the time. Whatever she does, he copies, and he made people in her city choose the same profession as she did, and anything she doing, he make it others achieve it, so that her achievement look less. Last video I discussed about how nurses in Delhi has to join to a recruiting agency. So this girl in the story also joined an agency to go to other countries, but she sees that wherever she worked in that hospital, there was a temporary instructor role. So she joined that. So here, back to our messages, David say that many of the afflictions are the rightest, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. So to connect to that message, I'm talking about her hardships in that hospital. So this person bullied her there too. One time he made a rule through the agency, those enrolled in that agency for going abroad could not wear an overcoat, while all the others could wear the overcoat attire, which is for the tutor. She was not aware of this person at all, or his influence or anything. So one time, another incident, she helped a computer job in her hospital just to help the dean of that hospital, because the receptionist was going for leave for 1 week. Suddenly, this person made her take a punishment through the agency rules that, while you're enrolled in going abroad and getting that training, you cannot work like that, and as a punishment posting her to multiple departments, and she had to go through all the work processes as a nurse. And then another incident, this person created lies in the inventory, and then she got scolded unnecessary, but they were all like it was a trap. And also this receptionist job was also a trap just to make her in trouble. And then she got scolded, and then she cannot, she don't want to ask the manager for the permission to go to her brother's wedding. So she thought many times while going through this whether to revoke the agency contract or not. So the message of the story is like that. Like David, in her case, the afflictions were many, troubles were many, but God protected her in for all her troubles. And if she knew the enemy during the time she was going through it, she would be worried and would have canceled her contract and not gone out of the country, or not even the state, or her parents would not been able to take the steps to help her pursue her goals. Now she's grateful that she's working as a professor in another country and got her PhD. She also understood another thing, that she was almost sad to understand that the extreme jealousy she had from her young age. This guy would turn off the power to her house on the day of before the final exams, and then even with that hardship she would get higher scores. But this story, he make it as a news for a person from his own caste. Connecting to the second verse also, this may be an unusual trial for you to have it. And also those who are listening to you may be thinking that, if I knew the enemy, it would have been better. It may not be. If God hid your enemies, it was for good. Connecting this story to the verse 1 Peter 4:12, she can relate to that. Maybe do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it come upon you to test you. It may be an unusual trial for her, but for those who are listening to and thought that, oh, if I knew our enemies, it would have been better. It might not have been, because if God chose to hit our enemies, it was actually for good for us. We came to the US, and after we both settled into our jobs in the US, I became pregnant. And my mother-in-law, or my husband's mother, got so excited about the pregnancy news. Around 2 to 3 months in, my mother-in-law got admitted to the ICU, so we had to travel to India. While there, I experienced abdominal pain, and my husband advised not to check with physicians there. Maybe he did not trust the system, while actually I was worried about any pain or any emergency during the travel back. So we went and did an ultrasound, and then the results came up like the pregnancy is gone, and then the doctor who did remove it also confirmed it's gone. I saw my husband crying, and all his relatives were sad. And when we came back to the US, we had a family friend. We call old aunties, old people aunties. So this auntie was emotional and crying and consoling me. I was sad, but God gave me strength, and I told her that if God allowed this loss, it must be His plan. Though I recently came to know that a person from another territory who did not like my dad, which I will tell in the video, had created a lie narrative, a misleading lie narrative. This pregnancy could be actually healthy. The lows reported might be false. It could be part of a lie narrative story or a misleading story, and or for a jealous motive. Since I was not involved in any of these illegal scams or know anyone related to scam, this person may be planning to create a false or misleading lie narrative story as cover up for his scam. But anyway, I was calm and handled this situation very well, and I was not aware of the enemy. Next year, I became pregnant again, which is my son, the only child that I have. And during this time, I was working in a very busy place with a lot of patients, so I reduced my work days. Though I did not know my enemy, when I pray, I have that conviction that I should focus on the pregnancy and also on my health. So I delivered my son healthy with no problems for me or him. 10 years later, I had to report someone committing bank financial crimes. This was followed by some lie narrative, which is 100% wrong. So that lead also some revelation about my parent in Kerala. So while I'm reporting every wrong charges in banks or other companies, after a regular medical visit, I noticed some changes in my son's chest. This time, unlike the pregnancy loss 10 years ago, I knew the enemy, so I reported aggressively to all agencies. Anyone at that time, regardless friends or relatives who text or call me with lies, I reported their truth to law. So in my mind, I'm not encouraging lies, but people were surprised because I was never a person like that. This led to like a friends misunderstanding me, and there was not any support for me and my son. The more I reported, the more retaliation came in form for more wrong charges, layoffs. Though I believe that reporting was right, the retaliation on us was heavy. So during this time, after the layoff of my 2.5 years, I got a new permanent job offer with a hospital involved. But because of what was happening around to me, I did not take that job, as it's easy to create lies in busy situations. So remember the story of the girl and the bully. If she was to know that all of the situations happening around her was from that bully, she wouldn't have taken steps to go out of state or out of the country. So I would not be talking to you this if I had to face this enemy 10 years ago. I'm not saying I faced all trouble safely and I have become an expert, but as David says, afflictions were many, and most of the lies that the enemy brought, that proved as their own lies. So looking back at this, 10 years ago, if God hid the enemies from me, if I had known them, then it would have been, I would have been depressed me, and I would be not positive for my pregnancy, the second one especially, and after the first pregnancy loss, and any retaliation would have been far harder on me and my son. So God hides our enemies or whoever is against us for our protection. When he chooses to reveal who was against us, it's at the right time, so we can act, report, and trust him for delivering us from all the troubles. Still, you can see that I was hesitant to take up new opportunities during that time because I know who was against us. So I'm doing this video. If anyone like me going through a lot of hardships, oppositions, or retaliation, the focus should be on God and Jesus, and remain on his truth and protection, and trust on his path than what enemy is doing. Hey, I'm concluding here. I know this has been a long stories and discussion in this video. Thank you for listening if you have stayed with me this far. And from the verses and the stories we discuss, we can summarize that we learned that we do not need to know our enemies. The righteous will face many afflictions, as Psalm 34:17 says, but God will deliver us from all troubles. As 1 Peter 4:12 says, unexpected challenges will come our way, but we do not have to think that as unusual. They are meant for our spiritual growth. And when God reveals who was against us, he wants to be glorified through those challenges. And even if we do not fully realize it, when unexpected challenges come on our way, we are already equipped to handle them. And we can trust in Jesus through these challenges. And rather than focusing on the opposition or who is against us or getting distracted by their troubles, God wants us to trust that we can overcome those troubles. Thank you and God bless.
Jesus, you are the rock on which I stand.